What is up, people of the internet? It is Dave. It is Duncan. Welcome back to Tech Metal Epidemic. Part of the channel, we discuss and review the latest tech from headphones, Bluetooth earphones, microphones, and much more. Although in saying that, we've only reviewed headphones so far.
Only headphones so far. I get the feeling that one day we'll pull the plug. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to be controversial here.
What?
Every single video we've done of these, we've been using our Shure mics, so I'm going to say we endorse them, right? Well, I've not switched them out, so we're
Sure.
I'm going to be controversial and say these mics actually be all right. So.
Might be a wee microphone review on the horizon, you know. And I'm just,
the fuck is that going to work? Oh, what you did with Dave? Did it complicate things? We've got a sweet thing going here. Don't ruin it.
It may be too late for that. So, for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the Shure Aonic 50 Bluetooth wireless ANC headphones. So, the Shure Aonic 50s. So I'll give you a little bit of tech spec. I don't know. I don't think I like that.
Tech specs when you fucking shag a fucking real doll. I mean, spap on it.
Oh, this is took a turn.
You started it with your fucking tech spec. Oh, it should really have a bit where it goes, ooh, tech spec. And you're like, yeah, here we go, tech spec corner.
We've not got the budget for that. Okay.
Spent on these headphones.
This is the budget right here. So engineered from decades of stage and studio experience.
Oh, wow.
The Aonic 50 wireless noise cancelling headphones deliver premium listening with exceptional comfort and durability. These are over-ear headphones with adjustable noise cancelling and environment mode to allow you to hear the outside world at the flip of a switch. They are Bluetooth 5.0 with up to 30 feet connectivity, supports Bluetooth multi-point pairing, which enables headphones to be connected to two devices at the same time. They come with a dynamic 50mm driver supporting multiple codecs, including Qualcomm aptX, aptX HD, aptX low latency audio, Sony LDAC, AAC, and SBC. A lot of acronyms in there. The headphones are fitted with fingertip controls to allow quick access to answer calls, activate voice assistant, adjust volume, or pause, play your music at the touch of a button. The battery life on the Aonic 50s are around 20 hours. Comes with a USB-C charging port, but they do also include a 3.5mm analog cable, so you can stay connected at all times. The Aonic 50s are also fully compatible with the Shure Plus Play app, which allows you to fully customize your EQ, add noise cancellation, and switch environment modes. Price-wise, these come in at the moment anyway, £150. So, let's see what we thought about these bad boys. So yeah, we've had these for a wee while, spent some time with them.
We've had these for a wee while. Duncan's had them for an inordinate amount of time. A long time. And that's not because Dave thought we were going to do this months ago. It's not because of that. Life finds a way, Dave. Life finds a way.
It does. So, yeah, we've had a bit of time to check them out, see what we felt, see what we thought about them. And before we get into the sound of them, let's talk about a few other things. So, firstly, let's talk about the packaging, Duncan. What's in the cake tin, Duncan?
What's in the bags?
Look at the size of this fucking box.
I did think at first when you handed it over to me, it did remind me of, you know, like people that like the hoi polloi, the very fancy people out there that go and do Ascot and have to buy hats and then put them in boxes. It does look like a hat box. There's no getting around it. Like a fancy fascinator hat box.
Yes, it does. So in the box, we've got the usual stuff. You've got the guides. You've got a sexy wee hard case, which is the same as the box. In here as well, plus the 3.5mm cable and your USB-C charging cable as well.
The word compact doesn't even come into your vocabulary when looking at that box. Look at them though.
Look at that.
Look at them, eh?
Ooh.
Oh.
Let's get them out.
There we go.
So, here we go. The Aonic 50s by Shure. Let's just fold them out a bit. There we go. Look at the man. Still got the tag. Still got the tag on there.
Of headphones.
Yes.
They've still got the tag because we do not intend to resell them after this review.
At all. So, yeah, all the usual stuff. Folds up flat into the wee case that you get for portability.
Yep. Back into the left, Dave. Back into the left.
But this is what you've got basically. So standard stuff really. In terms of the design and build quality, they have a good quality feel about them, I'd say. The materials, didn't scream like cheap to me or flimsy anyway when I lifted them out of the box. They feel like quite solid headphones. There's a little bit of bulk to them, which might for some make it more problematic in the portability region. As you've seen, it's quite a big carry case.
If you dropped it from more than 1 foot above, like your grandparent, they'd die. That's how much bulk is in them.
Possibility there, yeah, high possibility. So, like comparing these to stuff we've reviewed in the past, like the Sony XM5s, or even the kind of newer Bose models and stuff. The Shure headphones, they don't do folding hinges. Like the best you can do with these is like flat, basically like that. They sit flat in the case like this. The ear cups don't have folding hinges on them. So like storage wise, maybe not the greatest. They do, like if you're taking this case traveling with you or on holiday, it is quite a large case to fit in your bag and stuff like that. So it's not the best in that side of things. In terms of the actual look of them, as I said, they look nice. They have the touch buttons on the side. They don't have the touch sensitive headphones like a lot of the kind of newer ones don't have that. They've got actual buttons on the bottom. So the buttons are okay. Like I don't mind the buttons. They're maybe a little bit fiddly because you're not quite sure which button does what. For the first little while.
If you are of my generation, Dave, where you can't comfortably put a USB into the back of something without physically seeing how it goes, and you'll try and twist it 3 ways, you will forget what side what button's on and what button does what. That's just, it's inevitable. And even if I owned these a year, I would still be fucking what's the right side for that. It's just the way we are.
True.
For the kids these days, I don't know.
Might be fine. But whatever device you're using to play your music, you can still like obviously play and pause using that. So that's probably the easier option. But you've got your USB-C charging point in the bottom, and also the 3.5mm port on the bottom there as well. So like in terms of your kind of build and quality, good quality. Storage not so great, and the functions of the buttons in the bottom, again, some might find it fine, others might have an issue with that. I tried to use the buttons, but I couldn't remember which button did what. I was just pressing stuff like, oh no, I've rewound to the last track and paused it. I don't know what I was doing. The next part. Sorry.
I just imagine you pressing the button on the back and connecting it to, I don't know, like a secret missile silo or something. There's a countdown going on. What the fuck am I listening to? I shouldn't have pressed that button. I paired to downstairs telly. All I can hear is Judge Judy reruns for the next hour. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. Let's talk fit, Dave, though. Talk that fit.
Let's talk weight and comfort, Duncan.
Yep.
So on the weight and comfort side of things, these are about 330 grams, which it's a decent weight. Not as heavy as the Deva Pros we did, but about 80 grams heavier than the Sony XM5s, and about 50 grams heavier than the Anker Q45s that we did on the last review. However, even with that little bit more weight, actually surprisingly comfortable. The headband for me was very soft, good cushioning. And same with you've got these kind of leather wrapped ear pads as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have a nice kind of sponginess to them, so that stops any kind of major discomfort. Little bit for me is a little bit of heat build up around the ears, so you might find you need a little kind of cooling off period every now and again. As you start to feel a bit of that, after a few hours, you might find a bit of kind of sweaty kind of heat about your ears, but for the most part, I didn't have any huge issues on that front. Nothing that would like put me off buying them. It's also worth mentioning that the ear pads are removable as well. So if they do start to look a bit worn, you can easily replace them, to kind of freshen them up down the line. But what about yourself? Did you have any issues with the comfort of these bad boys?
Now, you will know that one of my big gripes with headphones is the fact I have ear tunnels, so my ears are stretched out to
Yes.
18 millimeters.
Yep.
And as a result, headphones, the reason I wear these ones as much as I do is because fucking they're huge. It's a bit, I can tuck my full ear in fine without issue. I love the feel of these, if I'm honest. I found that like the leather feel on them actually cushioned my ears quite well. It didn't compress, even though they look quite sturdy and they look like there's a bit of traction in there. Actually, once they're on your head, they comfortably slide on. I like the heat's there, but it's to me it wasn't. I tend to not have headphones on for huge prolonged periods of time anyway, and the longest I wore these was for about an hour and a half, so essentially 2 albums lengths. I took them off and then put them on later on, did something similar. So from that point of view, very comfortable.
Nice. So as always, we checked out a classic metal album to go with this review.
Dave, how do we pair? Like, how do we even begin to select a classic? I believe this was your turn. So
it was. And as always, we decided to pick something we've listened to hundreds of times, possibly.
Something to put it through its paces.
Yep. To compare how the album sounds through the Aonic 50s.
A multitude of different instruments, most of them being blinky plonky, drummy wummy, kind of one could argue kind of tribal sounds.
Possibly, Duncan, possibly. For this album, or for this review, we chose Roots by Sepultura.
1996 never sounded so fierce, Dave.
Okay, so this is usually the point of the reviewer and say, I've listened to this album a lot, so we know it very well. I can't stress enough how much I've listened to this album. Like, this is to put it into context here, this is easily in my top 10 albums of all time. Came out February 96, which was around the time I started kind of listening to metal, and it was pretty much love at first listen for me with this album. I have serious mahogany for Roots by Sepultura, I'm not gonna lie.
But like, people might not understand, like we use these, I think sometimes we need to like put up like descriptions of what our slang terminology means. Means Dave got a chubby. Right?
Hardwood, Duncan. Hardwood.
Hardwood. Dave got a rhythm stick and wants to hit you with it.
Produced by the mighty Ross Robinson.
Is it his best? I keep coming back to this where I try and think of what I think is the best Ross Robinson produced album. And I always, the reason I always think Roots might be it is because Roots is the one that has the most instruments on it.
That's true.
Like, Slipknot's debut album has maybe the most people on it, right?
Yeah.
But like, they're all doing stuff that right out with the fucking smacking of empty fucking oil drums, right? They're all kind of doing standard instrumentation. Roots has his shit that has tribal fucking vocals.
Tribe of people on this album.
There is a actual tribe of people.
3 Slipknots.
3 Slipknots. It's like Ross Robinson took them to the Amazon, recorded the sounds of mating cicadas. But you know what I mean? It really is like, the more I come back to it, and the thing about it is, and I don't want to preempt a discussion on this one with the headphones.
Yeah.
The Roots production, among all else, is the one that I like. When I go back to it, I don't instantly think 90s. If I listen to those Korn albums, I think 90s straight away. There is something weirdly timeless about the production of Roots, which brings me back to my original point. Is Roots the best Ross Robinson produced, and I'll put the caveat in there, metal album?
I think it possibly is. Yeah.
Aye.
I think it possibly is. I think it's one of the best metal albums, production-wise, going. Not even talking about just Ross Robinson. I think it's a flawless production. So I was keen to hear how it sounded through these headphones. So when I first hit play on the album, I used my device. I didn't use the headphones, obviously.
Like, why am I connected? Oh no, it's Judge Judy again.
Oh, the car's just started. Like
fucking coffee machines made you a coffee. Oh, what the fuck is going on here? Oh, no.
I think that the first thing that kind of hit me about these headphones was how neutral they actually sounded. With like the size of them and the 50mm drivers, I expected bass overload. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this is gonna go like just boom in my ears, but I didn't get that at all. It's not completely flat either. There's a bit of a bump in certain frequencies on these for sure, especially in the kind of high to mid range. It's very crisp. But as you know, the first track on Roots is Roots. So you get a little tinkle of percussion, and then the snap of that snare kicks in. And clarity-wise, it was like, this sounds excellent, like straight from the get-go. I was quite surprised that without even touching the EQ in the app, everything sounded really nice straight away on these headphones. The vocals also had really great presence in the mix, which was another kind of big surprise. I was expecting like the bass to just kind of overpower a lot of the other frequencies, but actually it's very well balanced, very clean sounding. If you do want a touch more oomph though, then the app, I tried using the app, is very intuitive as well, very easy to customize your EQ. I tried a few different ones. I quite like, there's one called, I think it was just Bass Boost, I think it was called. And surprisingly, it doesn't overpower it. It doesn't just go like crazy, like bottom end on it when you hit that button. Not overpowering. It's quite a subtle adjustment you get from the Bass Boost. But I felt like that, even that, just that little tweak made quite a big difference to the overall punch of this album as well. Doesn't come across boomy at all. You still get all that crisp detail coming through. So in terms of sound, I was really impressed, like straight away. This is probably one of the first times I'd put on a set of Bluetooth headphones and not really had to mess about much with the EQ to get a really nice sound from them. It was almost kind of ideal straight out of the box. A little tweak for me was all that really needed. Same with the kind of spacing of these headphones and the kind of sound stage of the Aonic 50s. Tracks like Rata Mahata, for example, like where it has just loads of percussion going on. You get a lot of that kind of detail coming through. It's spaced out really well, so you can make out everything in the mix. And the percussions, you know, is hitting you from all kind of different places on the mix. Even when you hit tracks like Spit or Dusted, which are much more abrasive and kind of bass heavy, the clarity was always there. It never sounds thin or lacking in power. I was really impressed with these in that department. And on that album, I thought they sounded great. In terms of other albums that I listened to, I'll start with the heavy stuff. If it's heavy stuff you're looking for or you're into, these headphones handle that with ease. I tried pretty much every subgenre you could imagine, from kind of new metal to metalcore to deathcore. I thought Despised Icons, The Ills of Modern Man sounded bitchin' through these. Really, really punchy. I tried some stuff that was much older, so I went to like Slaughter of the Soul by At the Gates. I tried that album with a lot of headphones. And these, even the more kind of vintage classic albums, sounded like they had plenty of life to them as well. To be honest, anything guitar-based sounds great. even stuff that isn't quite as heavy. You mentioned a band on a review just in the last couple of weeks, a band called Pairs.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it must have been in the back of my mind. So I was like,
That debute's fucking awesome. I
Yeah.
still stand by it. It's a great album.
It really is. So I stuck that on. Go to Prison was the name of the album by band Pairs. It's a more kind of punk rock album, and it sounded great. Like punk albums can sometimes sound a little bit thin. This had a real fullness to it, which I was really surprised about how kind of full it came across on the headphones. I finished it off with something a little bit more off-piste, Duncan. I stuck on Churches and the Bones of What You Believe.
Lovely.
Which is an album I adore. Absolutely love that album. And for a kind of synth pop kind of album, sounded really good. A lot of kind of nice kind of depth to it, a lot of kind of bottom end. And maybe as I've listened to the album like a shitload, and maybe lacking slightly in the top end, just a little bit. That was my only kind of small gripe when I put that album on. I've heard it sound a little bit brighter on other headphones, but again, still sounded really good. So actually, across the kind of genres, it does do really well. What about yourself? What did you think of Roots, and what else did you listen to?
I mean, Roots. Did. You got me into Sepultura, so that's one of those things that will forever like be the connective weird tissue that like cements our friendship and relationship. Roots really is that album which to me filled in the gaps of that kind of early 90s thrash sound and the new metal sound. It was the thing I needed to listen to be able to get other bands, right? I struggled to go, but I got into metal right at about the new metal period. New metal was just kicking off, and I like hooked into that pretty easy because of song construction, influences, and all the rest. That when you had thrown me earlier bands, like when you were throwing me some of the more extreme, early 90s stuff, I couldn't get into it, and then you gave me Roots. And from the moment I listened to that, I was like, right, there's a bit of that kind of 90s extreme, but there's also all that new metal stuff that I love.
Yeah.
And there's maybe not that big a jump now, because I kind of love that song, and that's a bit more 90s, and then you go down that way. I will agree with you. I think the danger with getting headsets in general is that the default setting for most of them is either too treble or too bass, right? They are like, you never get the fucking Goldilocks fucking pot of fucking porridge. You never get the just right one. It's either too treble or too bass, right? You know what I mean? It's like the default. It's almost a guarantee whenever you buy headphones. You're kind of expecting that I'm going to put them on and I'm going to spend the first half an hour fucking wait until I get it right. Like you, the brightness that came out this was hugely surprising, and it doesn't sacrifice anything to get that.
No.
Roots sounded fucking great. Already sounded great. That cleanness as well, I think added it a little bit to I hadn't listened to the album in a few years, and I dare say the last time I listened to it was probably through my earpods. Which are in ears, so like they're not maybe necessarily designed for like big old chunky riffs. This one added a lot of personality. I personally felt it. I thought that you mentioned Ratamahata earlier on. The specifically the bits where he is doing the Ratamahata bit like in the background, and he's kind of doing that kind of scat, like almost kind of weird speaking in tongues section in the background. I think it's the first time I picked up how Ross Robinson did the panning on that. It came out really vibrant on it, so like thoroughly enjoyed that. It's a great album, sounded brilliant on that. Very similar to you, I was like, where can we take this, right? Like, the world is now my oyster, and this is the bit I love doing. It's an album. The first one I went to was because of that clean sound that you mentioned, that clean tone. I was like, I want to listen to something modern, I want to listen to something punchy, I want to listen to something that just smacks. So I went straight to Only One Mode by Speed, because I was like, let's see how it sounds through this. Guess what? Sounds fucking great. Just like I found, I know you went back in time. I found that modern albums sound fucking shit hot through these headphones. And I found, like, trying to think of the use case of where I would use them in a practical setting. I don't know if I would use them, like, out and out outside.
No,
And like these to me are the perfect pair of I want to shove on a good album and I want to just like bathe in it.
Yep.
Those are the sort of like this to
Yep.
me is like this is treat yourself headphones. You know what I mean? This is like pour yourself some whiskey, sit in your chair, you put on the album you want to listen to, treat yourself. It sounded fucking absolutely wonderful, and as a result of that, I continued on with the good times. All American Sports, the new Bill Murray album, and I was like, that's modern, it's crisp, it's fresh. Once again, sounded chef's kiss good, just like really, just colourful, just like full of energy and full of vibrance. An album that I have recently found myself listening to a lot, and I struggle to pronounce her surname, but she's a kind of indie pop star, is Caroline Polachek, I think is how you pronounce her name. Right. The album is Desire, I Want to Turn You Ever Asking Edition. So it's the longer edition. So Desire, I Want to Turn You is the name of the album, but the Ever Asking Edition is the one I go for. She's a kind of experimental pop artist that does kind of indie music as well. It's fucking awesome, right? I can't stress this enough. Like, I adore everything she does. Her stuff is weird and quirky, but it's emotional, it's deep, and the instrumentation is really smart. She will mix kind of more distorted guitars in with kind of subtle electronica, and it kind of flows really well. This also sounded incredible, really vibrant. I, like you, wanted to fling in something a little bit older just to see how it would handle it. An album that is notoriously hard for me to find headphones to make it sound good is Americana by The Offspring, and we were talking about them recently. And I'd went back and listened to them, and the reason I've found that almost every set of headphones there was a time period in the late 90s where there was loads of movies where that album had songs that just featured in the soundtracks. I remember hearing them and going like that sounds amazing on the great speakers at the cinema. And then I would go home and put my headphones in, it would sound tinny and flat and just shit. These ones handled it okay, actually. They made it sound like they gave it like a boost in the areas that I wanted to. I didn't use the app like you, so everything I have is just the raw sound that comes out purely from checking out through the headphones. As always, I will go a little bit 80s, because why not? And I checked out a bit of Duran Duran. Maybe not as great, but not bad either. I just kind of feel like there was certain... I've grown up with some of those albums for decades now, that I felt like the cleanliness added to it and removed a little bit of something that I quite enjoyed. But with a bit of tweaking on the EQ, I imagine I find that sound that I enjoy. So overall, I was like, I'm actually more shocked at the price point you've just mentioned, because for what you get out of this, straight away, you get quite a lot without having to do anything for it. You don't have to work to get your sound. A lot of that sound is already there, which is half the battle of getting new headphones. So, it takes a lot to impress me these days when it comes to headphones, because I'm kind of locked in with what I like. But these ones up there, it's interesting as well, because we're now covering some of these ones we've done they're in the sphere of music and sound and production and whatnot. And Shure as a company has been synonymous with that now for decades. And there's always that fear of, right, they're known for their mics, but they've released these headphones and they're shite. In the case of this one, we'll get to scores and whatnot, but I would thoroughly, at that price point, recommend them.
Couple of additional things. These also have active noise cancelling as well. I actually didn't realise the noise cancelling was switched off at first, like when I was using them.
That's right,
because it really wasn't letting much through at all. But then when I went into the app, I was like, wait a minute, noise cancelling isn't even switched on. I was like, all right, okay. And then when I switched on, I was like, all right, okay, I can even...
The world is gone.
I could hear even more of a difference. The only thing I would say is, like a lot of noise cancelling headphones, when you do switch the ANC on, you might notice a slight change to the sound. And I did notice a little bit with these. There's a little slight bit more top end, a little bit more hiss. And the sound maybe becomes a little bit more kind of claustrophobic sounding. It's maybe not as spacious. It has like almost like an extra layer of weight to it. So you might find you sacrifice a little bit of the clarity with it on. But to be honest, I found that it blocked out quite a lot with it switched off. So I probably wouldn't even use the NC on these, to be honest. I think that's to do with the padding and the ear cups. Actually, it's a very nice kind of suction you get with these. There's no real kind of gaps or air or stuff like that getting through. So really, with the ANC off, it actually worked pretty well. Tried phone calls as well. I was expecting these to be good.
You're always trying phone calls. You're a madman.
Well, I was thinking these are Shure. They make microphones. Like surely, like phone calls would be decent through these. And I was right. Like the phone call was actually sounding really good, not overly bassy. There was no real kind of like distortion. Or sometimes like phone calls can sound quite hollow in someone's voice, but these were very clear coming through. A little bit of background noise, but nothing that you wouldn't expect with a microphone on a set of headphones, to be honest. So I was quite impressed with the microphone phone calls. Battery's fine, like 20 hours, like it's maybe not as crazy as like the Marshalls at like 80 hours, but
but who has the time?
Yeah, I know.
Like 20 hours is more than you're going to be awake a day, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
like so you're going to have them on charge. So I think we're fine.
Yeah, and 15 minutes of charge gives you about 2 to 3 hours playtime. So like you can do a quick blast on these and you'll get a few hours out of it, which is pretty good. There's a little red LED starts blinking on the headphones when they're low. But to be honest, like I think I've charged these once in the whole time that I've had them. And they've lasted for ages, to be honest. Like 20 hours with these is absolutely fine. So final thing, scores for the Shure Aonic 50s. I think for 150 quid, I think these are actually a very decent buy. I think they work across a lot of genres. I'd say that they work best with a lot of kind of guitar based music. As I went more into the kind of dancier side of things, it sounded good. Maybe a little bit of top end, a little bit of clarity there, missing just that brightness. To be honest, the album that I listened to, the Churches album, I've heard on vinyl and it sounds incredible on vinyl. So maybe just like comparing it to that, to be honest. It sounded better. All I'm saying is it sounded better. I have heard it sound better.
Like the hipster comment of the video goes to Dave Buchanan for his "it sounded better on vinyl."
Yeah. You could use that quote. But if you're into metal like us, Kent, then I think you'll find plenty to like. I was impressed with how good these sounded right out of the box. Not huge amount of negatives. As I said, certain albums maybe a little bit of top end, a little bit of character missing. They're not the neatest in terms of size. I do think I would never use these for traveling.
And also storing, like I kind of feel like you need wherever your room is that you listen to music, you kind of need a hook on the wall that you can just put them on.
Another room,
you're not putting them in that box all the time, because what shelf's that sitting on?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
look at the size of this. Like, yeah, you need another room for to store them. But as I said, I wouldn't be taking these on like a long flight or anything like that. I think the weight also might become a bit of an issue if you're using them for long periods. The buttons as well. Yeah, it's great that they're there, but I don't know how much I'd actually use them, to be honest, just with how kind of fiddly that is. Would I buy these for 150 quid? Yeah, I probably would. Actually, I would probably sit and use these at home. For me, I'd probably go a good solid 485 with these. Yeah, I thought they were really good. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
I'm coming in right in with you. Yeah, like without knowing what the price point was, it kind of makes me like love them a little bit more. I think we have already listened and reviewed headphones more expensive than this that require you at the moment of plugging them in a lot more faff than this.
Yeah,
and I think you can't really put a price on being able to just plug something in and get a really good quality sound right from the off.
Yeah.
I found the fit comfortable, the use easy. Didn't even delve into the extra stuff which I could have got lost into from what you were saying. So yeah, for me, 4 as well.
Nice. It's also worth mentioning that Shure have just recently released an upgrade to these as well. So there's an Aonic 50 Generation 2 just been released.
Just literally setting up a future review.
They are. Those are coming in about 330 at the moment. So they're not long out. So obviously the price is still quite high on them. But as far as I can see, there's kind of additional extras, so you're getting more battery length, and I think the Bluetooth connectivity is giving you slightly further in terms of transmission and stuff. So worth looking at if you like the sound of these. There is a newer version of them out, but for 150, I'd recommend these. I definitely would. So that is a review of the Shure Aonic 50s. I'll put links below to the actual product themselves, so you can check it out on Amazon or whatever, so you can see all the details and prices and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure the price will change over time. Let us know what you think. If you're thinking about buying them, or if you've bought a pair, stick some comments below. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on them. That is a review. Thank you for checking it out. We'll be back with another tech metal review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.